Check, check, check. Here we go. Check, check, check. Here we go. Okay, friends, I'm going to bring you something. This is truly amazing. This is a letter to Donald Trump from Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò. And it's just mind-blowing. It's about COVID-19. I have to be very careful about what I say because my videos on COVID have been censored by YouTube. So, but this is, I'm just going to play this video. And actually, he recorded his own reading of this letter to Donald Trump. And you can see it just by plugging in the name of this video. Archbishop Viganò addresses the Catholic Identity Conference 2020, Francis and the New World Order. This is mind-blowing when you hear this. So what I'm going to do is, the way I found out about this was through this guy called, his name is Brian at High Impact Flicks, and he did his own little narration of this letter. And I'm going to let him do it. The only thing that I'm going to do different is that he had a kind of a low resolution version of the letter. So I'm going to show you a higher resolution version of the letter. And I can even, maybe I'll make it a little bit wider here. Let me make this a little bit wider so that I can bring you, so that I can zoom it in. So that I can zoom it in if I have to. All right, I don't want to, because I got a complicated composition going here. All right, that's about as best as I can do, but I can. Okay, let's do it like this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to let this roll, and as he narrates it, he's a little bit down on the Catholic Church, so just kind of, if you are a Catholic, just kind of forgive him for this, but I'm just going to let him read it. I want to get this information out to as many people as possible, because this is a powerful letter. He's basically this Archbishop, and he was the former, he's got some... he was the former apostolic nuncio of the United States. So he was like a major emissary. Is that what the right word? Of the Vatican to the United States. So anyway, so forgive this guy for being a little bit down on the Catholic Church, but I think you're going to agree this is a very, very powerful letter about this so-called pandemic. And you don't believe it for me. You don't believe me saying it. Maybe you'll listen to the former apostolic nuncio of the United States, this major bishop in the Catholic Church. Okay, let's let Brian rip with his narration.
Stay tuned. I know it's a Catholic, but you got to hear what this guy says. Has anybody heard of this letter that was dated October 25th, 2020, which is just what? Just little under 2 weeks ago? Has anybody heard this? You've got to stay tuned for this. You will not be disappointed. Let me see if I can get the actual PDF up on the screen so that you can actually see it. Let me increase the size here so you can see this. Yeah, you read it. I was reading it, going, "What the frick? This looks like something you and I would write. This looks like something where, if given an hour or two, all of us together in the room would add little elements of what this Archbishop." And guys, I'm not for Roman Catholicism. I think it's the biggest pedo organization in the world. But you got to hear what this guy. Truth is truth, even if no one believes it, and it doesn't matter whose lips or pen it rolls off of. You watch the video and you've heard the letter and it will shock you. You guys got to hear it. It's only 4 pages long, and you read one paragraph and it's like, okay, read the next one. Okay, read the next one. What's up with this? This is a letter from this Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò, And listen to what he says about the standing pope, his own pope in his own church. And listen to what he says about the Great Reset and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Mr. President, allow me to address you at this hour in which the fate of the whole world is being threatened by a global conspiracy against God and humanity. Now, I'm not agreeing with everything in this letter, but man, the gist of it is crazy. Yeah, he did a video on it, but he added some stuff to it, and it's an hour long. I think I can condense it. But this is a double deception. This in and of itself, even though there's loads and loads of truth in here, it's a double psychological operation. I write to you as an archbishop and a successor of the apostles. Come on, that's bogus. Just take my word for it. I am a successor of the apostles because somebody told me that, and that's what I believe in. As the former apostolic nuncio, I'm writing to you in the midst of the silence of both civil and religious authorities. May you accept these words of mine as, quote, the voice of one crying in the desert. As I said when I wrote my letter to you in June, this historical moment sees the forces of evil aligned in a battle without quarter against the forces of good, forces of evil that appear powerful and organized. He gets specific, so stay around, guys. As they oppose the children of light who are disoriented and disorganized, abandoned by their temporal and spiritual leaders. That's just that's not the reason we're disorganized and disoriented. Daily, we sense the attacks multiplying of those who want to destroy the very basis of society, the natural family, respect for human life, love of country, freedom of education, and business. Totally agree with that. We see heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to this suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as instrumental to the establishment of an inhumane, faceless tyranny. Wow. Bravo.
I agree.
But guys, it gets even better. With each successive paragraph, it gets better and better. A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Guys, we've been talking about the Great Reset for how long now? How many months and months and months? Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all of humanity, absolutely right, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations. No truer word was spoken. Yeah, if this letter is true. This could all be fabricated, and this archbishop may have, it's like, hey, Carlo Maria Viganò, thanks for writing that letter. What letter? But you see, there's a video of this guy.
Reality.
You know, unless this is an imposter, this guy right
real.
Here. Let me put it up on the screen. I don't think I have it up on the screen right here.
I looked it up before. It's real.
This guy right here.
The link is in the show notes.
This letter. And this is supposedly Archbishop Viganò addresses the Catholic Identity Crisis Conference 2020. So let's get back to this thing right here. A global plan called the Great Reset is underway. Its architect is a global elite that wants to subdue all of humanity, imposing coercive measures with which to drastically limit individual freedoms and those of entire populations. In several nations, this plan has already been approved and financed. In others, it is still in an early stage. Behind the world leaders who are the accomplices and executors of this infernal project, there are unscrupulous characters who finance the World Economic Forum and Event 201 promoting their agenda.
Unbelievable that he mentioned that.
Let me go to the next page here. Why is this? Oh, wait. How do I flip the page?
I'm going to try to skip ahead.
Maybe I can blow it up for you guys. Maybe I can, but you guys should be able to see that. Sorry about that. I don't know why I couldn't flip that page. The purpose of the Great Reset, here now I can't see it, it's fuzzy. The purpose of the Great Reset is the imposition of a health dictatorship aimed at the imposition of liberticidal measures, in other words, the destruction of liberty, hidden behind tempting promises of ensuring a universal income and canceling individual debt. Holy cow. The price of these concessions from the International Monetary Fund, so calling them all out, calling the World Economic Forum, Event 201, the Great Reset, and now the International Monetary Fund will be the renunciation of private property and adherence to a program of vaccination against COVID-19 and COVID-21 promoted by Bill Gates with the collaboration of the main pharmaceutical groups. So taking them all, just exposing them all in this letter. It's fantastic. It's just like what we would say. Beyond the enormous economic interests that motivate the promoters of the Great Reset, the imposition of the vaccination will be accompanied by the requirement of a health passport and digital ID with the consequent contact tracing of the population of the entire world. Those who do not accept these measures will be confined in detention camps or placed under house arrest, and all their assets will be confiscated.
I just want to say something really quick, that this guy is fantastic. His name is Brian. His channel is called High Impact Flicks. He used to publish to YouTube quite a bit, but he's been getting censored. So I would subscribe to him on BitChute. Just subscribe to him on every channel you can find, because he's one of the top guys that I listen to these days, besides Max Eigen. He's really good. I just like his take on things. He's got a commercial channel, so he likes to sell stuff. He's survival food and things like that. So you gotta sit through the commercials. But other than that, I think he's pretty fantastic.
Link. Okay, I'll give you the link. If you guys want the link to this, I'm putting it in the chat room right now. There it is right there. You can actually download the actual PDF.
The link is in the text of this video that you're watching.
President,
my video.
remember, this is still this Archbishop. And listen, he's about to unload on the Pope. Mr. President, I imagine that you are already aware that in some countries, the Great Reset, now keep your mind open for Q language here. Because remember, this guy sounds like he's good, but he could be just as evil as the people he just exposed. Did he rightly expose them? Did he rightly say that they're corrupt? Did he rightly say that they're suspending liberties? Yes, he did. But is he also in the same boat as them, trying to throw us off the trail? Is this a red herring? Mr. President, I imagine that this is what I always think about when I'm reading stuff like this. I'm like, okay, where's this guy coming from? Yeah, that's truth, that's truth, that's truth. But where is this leading the reader? Where's this really leading the mind of the reader? Mr. President, I imagine that you are already aware that in some countries the Great Reset will be activated between the end of this year and the first trimester of 2021. For this purpose, further lockdowns are planned, which will be officially justified by a supposed second and third wave of the pandemic. You are well aware of the means that have been deployed to sow panic and legitimize draconian limitations on individual liberties, artfully provoking a worldwide economic crisis. In the intentions of its architects, this crisis will serve to make the recourse of nations to the Great Reset irreversible, thereby giving the final blow to a world whose existence and very memory they want to completely cancel.
Holy Jesus. That is so righteous.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Crazy amounts of truth, all condensed in this one little 4-page document.
That's just what I believe.
But this world, Mr. President, including people, affections, institutions, faith, culture, traditions, and ideals, people and values that do not act like automatons, who do not obey like machines because they are endowed with a soul and a heart, because they are tied together by a spiritual bond that draws its strength from above, from that God that our adversaries want to challenge, just as Lucifer did. And he just talks about all this religious stuff. Many people, as we know, are annoyed by this reference to the clash between good and evil and the use of apocalyptic overtones, which, according to them, exasperates spirits and sharpens divisions. It is not surprising that the enemy is angered at being discovered, just as when he believes he has reached the citadel he seeks to conquer undisturbed. What is surprising, however, is that there is no one to sound the alarm.
Wow.
The reaction of the deep state to those who denounce its plan is broken and incoherent, but understandable. Just when the complicity of the mainstream media had succeeded in making the transition to the New World Order almost painless and unnoticed, all sorts of deceptions, scandals, and crimes are coming to light. Who's this starting to sound like? Starting to sound like to me like Q. Until a few months ago, it was easy to smear as conspiracy theorists those who denounce these terrible plans. That's true. We've been talking about that for months too, which we now see being carried out down to the smallest detail. No one up until last February would ever have thought that in all of our cities, citizens would be arrested simply for wanting to walk down the street, to breathe, to want to keep their businesses open. Let me flip the page here. To want to go to church on Sunday, yet now it is happening all over the world, even in picture postcard Italy that many Americans consider to be a small enchanted country with its ancient monuments, its churches, its charming cities, its characteristic villages. And while the politicians are barricaded inside their palaces, promulgating decrees like Persian satraps, businesses are failing, shops are closing, and people are prevented from living, traveling, working, and praying. The disastrous psychological consequences of this operation are already being seen, beginning with the suicides of desperate entrepreneurs and of our children, segregated from friends and classmates, told to follow their classes while sitting at home alone in front of a computer. So far, not so bad. Not so bad for this Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò.
I agree.
Listen, now here's where he starts bearing down on the Pope here in a second. In sacred scripture, St. Paul speaks of one as, okay, check this out. He's basically saying here that Trump is filling a prophetic scriptural role. And I've heard that from people who aren't Catholic. So they fit Trump into this scriptural, he's got basically a scriptural mandate, like he's the Cyrus of old that's going to come and vanquish the enemy. In the sacred scripture, St. Paul speaks to us of, quote, the one who opposes the manifestation of the mystery of iniquity. In the religious sphere, this obstacle to evil is the church, and in particular, the papacy. In the political sphere, it is those who impede the establishment of the New World Order. Now check this out. As it is now clear, the one who occupies the chair of Peter, that's Pope Francis, has betrayed his role from the very beginning in order to defend and promote the globalist ideology supporting the agenda of the deep church. I've heard of deep state, but I've never heard until now the deep church, who chose him from its ranks. So basically, you know what he did with Pope Francis? He's like, pew, pew, you ain't nothing, bud. You're basically the black pope in the deep church. So while Q likes to talk about the deep state in the political sphere, this archbishop is talking about the deep church and the Pope who betrayed all Catholics in the Christian realm, quote unquote Christian realm. Mr. President, you have clearly stated that you want to defend the nation, one nation under God, fundamental liberties and non-negotiable values that are denied and fought against today. It is you, dear President, who are the one who opposes in fulfillment of this 2 Thessalonians 2, 6 through 7 right here. Basically, he's fitting Trump into that scriptural mold as the one who opposes evil. So he says, it is you, dear President, who are the one who opposes the deep state, the final assault of the children of darkness. For this reason, it is necessary that all people of goodwill be persuaded of the epical importance of the imminent election, not so much for the sake of this or that political program, but because of the general inspiration of your actions that best embodies, in this particular historical context, that world, our world, which they want to cancel by means of the lockdown. Your adversary is also our adversary. It is the enemy of the human race. He who is, quote, the murderer from the beginning, John 8:44. And that they're basically talking about, your father, the devil. Around you are gathered with faith and courage those who consider you the final garrison against the world dictatorship. There you go. Completely lost it. Completely lost it. Trump is the swamp. Trump has filled the swamp. He has not drained the swamp. He's increased the national debt far and above what Obama ever could possibly do, or that society at that time would possibly allow. He's increased the coffers of the military-industrial complex. He's for civil asset forfeiture. He likes take the guns first, due process second. He's continuing the propagation of the long and costly and failed and deadly war on drugs, which isn't a war on drugs, it's a war on people. This guy has taken away more freedoms under the banner of Make America Great Again than Obama could possibly shake a stick at. So here's where this thing took a bad turn. This archbishop is basically a QAnon in the spiritual realm, quote unquote spiritual realm. Around you are gathered with faith and courage those who consider you the final garrison against the world dictatorship. The alternative is to vote for a person who is manipulated by the deep state. Guys, that's Obama and Trump. Gravely compromised by scandals and corruption, who will do to the United States what Jorge Mario Bergoglio is doing to the church.
Yo.
Who is Jorge Mario Bergoglio? That's Pope Francis. Nobody calls him by his name. Jorge Mario Bergoglio is Pope Francis. Basically, this archbishop is dissing the Pope in an open letter to the president. And he does it here. Let's see.
That's pretty radical,
man. This on
man.
OBS. Shoot, where is it? Oh, there's the Pope right there. This is the guy. Oh, shoot. Oh, well. Anyway, it's this guy whose face is cut off right here. Where is it? This is the guy who's has actually written this letter. That's the guy. But I got to set this back up so you guys can read it. So I'm going to finish this real quick. It's almost done. Let's see. Around you are gathered with faith and courage. Let's see where. So Jorge Mario Bergoglio is doing to the church. Prime Minister Conte of Italy. President Macron from France. Prime Minister. All these people. He just names all these people. And so on. The blackmailable nature of Joe Biden.
Whoa.
As though Trump weren't blackmailable. That's why he does the bidding of his puppet masters, his Zio banking puppet masters. $6.2 trillion in transgenerational debt slavery. Come on, guys. Give me a break. He's not on your side. He's against your children and your children's children, your great-grandchildren's children. So he's not for you. Just like that of the prelates of the Vatican's magic circle will expose him to be used unscrupulously, allowing illegitimate powers to interfere in both domestic politics as well as international balances. It is obvious that those who manipulate him already have someone worse than him ready, with whom they will replace him as soon as the opportunity arises. And bringing this thing home, and yet in the midst of this bleak picture, this apparently unstoppable advance of the invisible enemy, an element of hope emerges. The adversary does not know how to love. It does not understand that it is not enough to assure a universal income or to cancel mortgages in order to subjugate the masses and convince them to be branded like cattle. This people, which for too long has endured the abuses of a hateful and tyrannical power, is rediscovering that it has a soul. It is understanding that it is not willing to exchange its freedom for the homogenization and cancellation of its identity. That's not true, because people who follow Trump are falling for all that. Mm-hmm. It is beginning to understand the value of familial and social ties, of the bonds of faith and culture that unite honest people. The Great Reset is destined to fail because those who planned it do not understand that there are still people ready to take to the streets to defend their rights, to protect their loved ones. If they're following Trump, they're not taking to the streets to defend their rights. They're taking to the streets to defend their slavery. To give a future to their children and grandchildren, the leveling inhumanity of the globalist project will shatter miserably in the face of the firm and courageous opposition of the children of light. He's calling himself, as a Catholic archbishop, and Donald Trump as the president of the United States, part of the children of light. That's just crazy. The enemy has Satan on his side, he who only knows how to hate, but on our side we have the Lord Almighty, the God of armies arrayed for battle, and the holy, most holy Virgin, oh boy, who will crush the head of the ancient serpent. If God is for us, who can be against us? Mr. President, you are well aware that in this crucial hour, the United States of America is considered the defending wall against which the war declared by the advocates of globalism has been unleashed. Place your trust in the Lord, strengthened by the words of Apostle Paul, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. To be an instrument of divine providence, and it is a great responsibility for which you will certainly receive all the graces of the state that you need, since you are being fervently implored for you by the many people who support you with their prayers. With this heavenly hope and the assurance of my prayer for you, for the First Lady, and for your collaborators, with all my heart, I send you my blessing. God bless the United States of America, and it's Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò with his signature there. But I thought a lot of what he said was right down the line, but then it all falls apart when you start playing this Q nonsense. So basically, Trump's the good guy in government. He's going to weed out the bad guy in government and save us from the globalists. You got to save us from the globalists, Donald Trump. Oh, what's this? Oh, this just in. Trump just made a globalist move by signing $6.2 trillion of our posterity away to the Zionist international banking cartel and to the corporate media oligarchs. Oh, boy. No. So basically, Trump can make all these mistakes and he's on your side. Nationwide is on your side. Donald Trump is on your side.
Okay, when he starts singing, I'm going to cut him off there, but isn't that an amazing letter? I just think that is a fabulous letter by this guy. Archbishop Viganò, former papal nuncio, is that how to say that correctly, of the United States, kind of an emissary from the Vatican. And once again, if you check the show notes, there's a link to the PDF of this document. There is a link to High Impact Flicks, which is this guy. This guy's name is Brian. He's High Impact Flicks. Please subscribe to him on all channels. I think if you enjoy my content, you're probably going to enjoy his content too. He's a little bit right-wing, kind of into guns and stuff, but basically a libertarian, and he's very knowledgeable of the Constitution, and he's a very human rights advocate. So subscribe to Brian, High Impact Flicks. There's notes to this PDF, this document that I'm showing you here. There's also a link to Archbishop Carlo Maria Viganò reading this letter himself. So all of that is in the show notes. Let me check the live stream really quick and see if anybody is chatty. See if we have anybody actually watching this live stream right now. It looks like I don't see anybody. So, but that could be because it's not refreshing. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. Share this video, and we're going to see you next time. And once again, if you want to be alerted whenever I do a live stream or a new show, be sure to subscribe to my videos on YouTube. Also, look for the Bill Huston podcast on BitChute. More of my most controversial videos I'm putting on BitChute rather than YouTube, just because I've been getting censored on YouTube. So look for me on BitChute. Bill Huston podcast. I'm Podcast Bill on Twitter. I don't use that so much. I'm mainly on Facebook. I have Bill Huston podcast on Facebook. And I'm also Bill Huston on Facebook. So there you go. Subscribe, click the bell on YouTube, ask for all notifications. And that way, when I go live, you'll get a beep on your phone, some kind of an alert, and or an email. So that's it for now. We'll see you later.